everybody, good morning. This is Jean here from a very chilly and frosty Pennsylvania morning. Oh my goodness, the temperature has dropped. It was below freezing last night, Fahrenheit, about 29, 30 degrees. A bit chilly out there. Maybe the Indian summer that we've been having is going away because it's getting cold now. It's about time. It's in November, right? I have been working on my Row Along with Jean quilt, and perhaps you can see something new from my last video. I was making one heart block, and I gave you the full tutorials. If you're new to my channel, I am doing a very beginner sampler row quilt tutorial lessons. And what a row quilt is basically just what it sounds like, one block in a row. You can punctuate your blocks with verticals and horizontals, as I have done here. I've done my applique, my sunflower. As you can see over here, one of my last videos, I was doing my, let me just turn this over a little bit. I was doing my Dresden plate. And as you can see, this is just up on my design tablecloth, my piece of flannel. As you can see, I've just pinned this up. Each row, it may or may not end up in this configuration, but actually I quite like that Dresden plate, half Dresden plate on the vertical, or I may not. I keep saying that. The beauty of this quilt is how I'm doing it. Is even if you're a beginner, I think there's a place for you to step out of your comfort zone in quilting and not be so very precise or be married to that precision of like to the 1/8 of an inch. Or if it doesn't work out, what am I going to do? As you can see, or maybe not, but trust me, some of my rows, I was saying in the last video, are measuring between 48 and 49, maybe even 50 inches. Maybe 47 to 50 inches. I don't know. I just sewing blocks together. And my blocks tutorials do have a precise measurement, which again, very important. But at the end of the day, if say my heart block, which if you notice, I've done a pink and a lavender, pink and lavender. I was going to do all pinks, but I had lavender in this fat quarter bundle that I'm using. I believe it's by Lori Holt. I have to check that. But this is one fat quarter bundle that I'm using that I pulled from. And as you can see, I've done my sashings in flying geese. I've done a like a checkerboard. I've done my tulip row with a sunflower applique down here. I've had my Dresden plates. Now this week I am working on another block, and this is what it is. And the reason I'm holding up two of my little pieced tree blocks is because you get two of these blocks out of the method that I'm showing you. I do make a slight mistake in the beginning, but I correct that of what you're going to cut. Now, you're not going to get two different greens, okay, my trees. I show you that I've made I've made two of these with four, as it were, flying geese. And then my next lot that I was experimenting, I made two more of, excuse me, of this color green. Now, if you notice, my tree trunks are different colors. And, excuse me, I show you how to cut those brown if you're using brown. This is an awesome way to use up scraps. I'm obviously using green that I have pulled. When I put them together, I can either put them this way, or I can make a row of trees vertically, as you can see. And again, when it comes to putting my quilt together, if say my heart row is not long enough, I might just actually down, it's 3 and 3, I might just actually split it here and put a piece of fabric in there and then make it fit. Again, I'm not really worried about the preciseness of it, but at the end of the day, it turns out pretty, and it will turn out to be yours, just exclusively your quilt with little touches to it. So don't sweat over the small stuff. Life is hard enough. Oh my word. And just had fun making some trees this week. I hope you enjoy the video, folks. Thanks so much. Love from the True Loves. Have a lovely day. Bye. I have finished my 6 heart blocks, and as you can see, I've decided to go pink and lavender. Pink and lavender. Pink and lavender. These were the actual colors that I chose from my fat quarter selection here from this fabric group. And instead of all pink, I thought, oh, I would change it up. And I did have 3 lavenders, and I did have several pinks. I think I have a bit more. But yeah, so now I'm looking at this through my viewfinder, and I quite like just them all together. I have 6 of them there. They're measuring 8.5 inches, so hopefully when they're put together, this row will be 48 inches. I'll see how it is at the very end. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sew them together, and as you can see, I have enough of my 1/4 inch here and here and up the top that I can put them into my seams and have a nice, lovely heart row. So that's what I'm going to do. I have already made a couple of these tree blocks. From my cutting instructions here, we can make 2 of these blocks. Now, my trees are exactly the same because I'm cutting them from one piece of fabric. My trunks are different. I'm just pulling from my brown fabrics that I have here. You can make them all the same if you want, all the same green trees. So I will have, I don't know how many of these, 8 of them or so. I have to make 4 more lots of this, maybe, I don't know, whatever it turns out to be. 2 of them will be the same, 2 of them will be the same, so I can stagger them. But what we need to make these 2 whole blocks right here, 1, 2, are 3 different fabrics. I have my fabric A, my fabric B, and my fabric C. And that's here on my little mat here that I have. Now I've just pulled some scraps from what I was sewing before. So the fabric B, my green, is not the same. So it's just my fabric A is the same. But my fabric C is a little bit different also that I'm using for this, my next 2 trees. So from fabric A, my script fabric here, I have cut 4 1/8 squares. Okay, I have cut 4 of them. 4 1/8 inch. And then I've cut 2 2.5 by 3.5 inch rectangles. Okay, it's a very simple block that we're putting together. For my fabric B, for my trees, my green trees, my 4 flying geese, I have 1 piece of green for my tree, and I've cut it at 7.5 inches square. This 1 square is going to make those 4 trees tops. My fabric C, my trunk, which is a brown, for, I forgot, for 2 of them, for 1 block, I've cut 1 2.5 by 3.5. You're going to need another one when we put these together. So you're going to be cutting 2 2.5 by 3.5. When I get there, you'll see what I mean. I just forgot to cut the other one. Because maybe, I think what I'm going to do, which I did up there, is I'm going to change up the brown. So I've cut 1 brown and another brown. So that was why I did cut 1 2.5 by 3.5. But by all means, if you want your blocks to be identical, then you're going to cut 2 2.5 by 3.5 inch. Well, first of all, what I have to do is I have to mark my fabric A, my 4 1/8 inch squares. I've already done that on 2 of them, okay? I have marked with a pen on the diagonal. Now, we've done this before. I just use a regular pen. You can use a fabric marker if you want. And what I do is I just do one at a time. I'm just setting my ruler just to thread in from the diagonal to the diagonal here. And I'm starting in the middle and just working my way out so the fabric doesn't sort of shift on you. And I'm making a line, diagonal to diagonal. So at my machine, what I have done is I've taken 2 of my 4 1/8 inch squares and I've turned them over so it's the pretty side of the fabric to the pretty side, okay? And you can see where I have marked that. I just came off my table and I've marked that right down there in the middle. So I'm putting 1 of these 4 1/8 inch squares right in the corner of my green inch square, pretty side to pretty side, and I have sort of lined up those lines there. Okay, because we're going to be stitching, not on the line, we're going to be stitching a 1/4 inch away from the line, all the way through this unit here. Okay, I have put pins if you need to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up here at a 1/4 inch on my sewing machine, right there. Put this down here like that. And again, we don't need to back stitch, but I'm stitching a 1/4 inch away from that line. Right on through to the next one. pinch and pull and trim. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my cutting board. I could cut these with scissors, by all means, nice pair of sharp scissors, but I'm going to go back to my cutting board over there, and I'm going to cut with my rotary cutter. Put my ruler down, and I'm going to cut right on the line. Obviously, I won't be cutting any of my stitching. I'll be cutting on the line. So I have cut my unit apart on the line, and I'm going to set that seam. I'm just using my little iron here. Just going to set that seam. Now I'm just going to pick up the green, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the seam down towards the green, okay? I'm just going to sort of push that and roll it down towards the green, that seam there, without getting any little tucks or anything like that. I'm going to do that on both of my units here, making sure you don't skew anything. Oops, like that. There's a little tuck there. So now I'll go back and I'll make sure that's pressed really nice. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm taking my third and my fourth square, and I'm putting the pretty side to the pretty side of my green, and you'll have these two units like this, and you'll have your diagonal line from this corner here down to this intersection there, okay? You're going to have it like that. And if you want, by all means, you can put a pin, and we're going to be doing, out of the way of stitching, you're going to be stitching it exactly like we stitched the other. I've marked and pinned both of these, and this we can actually chain piece if you like. So just starting up at the top here, and I'm going to be putting my needle down, and the thing, yeah, pretty much, and I'm just going to start exactly like I did, and I'm doing 1/4 of an inch, and I'm aiming for this intersection here, this little, like little T junction or L junction it is actually. You can feel yourself going through it. Okay, I'm going to leave my needle down, and I'm just going to grab my other one, and I'm just going to continue there. I will cut it because it's not quite as long. I have a nice pair of sharp scissors here, so I will cut right on that line, like so, making sure I'm cutting very carefully. Right on through that intersection there, and there we have 4 perfect, with a 1/4 inch at the top, 1/4 inch at the top, 1/4 inch at the top. Do what I always like to do here on my little foam, a little design board here. I lay out the block like I want it to end up looking, and I will correct the mistake. I needed you to cut 4 to make the 2 blocks, 4 2.5 by 3.5 inch background squares. And then here's my other brown one, but I'll correct that in the beginning. Again, what I've done here is I've actually cut off the dog ear. If you want to do that, you can, that little dog ear up there, just to make it a nice little straight across when we put it in our next seam like there, okay? And then if you want to, I don't find it absolutely necessary, but when we go to construct this block, if you want to cut off these dog ears down here, we can. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting making sure it's exactly the configuration I want. I'm going to be putting the right side of this top block, my top tree, over to my second tree, like that, okay? Right off. And there is my 2 trees. It's a little bit, I could have done it a little bit more, but that's okay. I got my 1/4 inch there, my 1/4 inch there. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sewing this unit together here. So I have my 2 I keep moving my tripod. I have rectangles here and my center trunk. And all I'm going to be doing is just putting the pretty side over to that side. 1/4 of an inch seam. Opening it up and putting the pretty side over to the right side here. Like that. Just finger pressing that, comes to the end there, 1/4 of an inch. Like so. Now I could go back. Yeah, I think I'm going to go back and just make that a little bit closer on that little dot, on that little point. But actually I haven't cut the point off at all, which is a good thing. So I'm just going to come in here, just take a few stitches closer. See how that looks. And just meld it into the seam there. Trim it. Let's see what that looks like. Not really necessary, but there we go. Now it's pretty much perfect. And there's my second block, my second tree. Oh, it's pretty. So I'll just go over and I'll set these seams real well. I'll set all the seams, and then we have 2 lovely tree blocks. So we get 2 exactly the same. The trunks are a little bit different to change it up a bit. Now I'm looking at this. I've just done the 4 of them. I don't know how I don't know if I'm gonna put some fabric in between them or just have it like as a forest. But I'm looking at this, and as you know, the row by row can be in vertical rows also. So if you wanted to have a row along the border of your quilt of trees, by all means you could put these together just like that. These blocks are measuring about 6.5 inches by 10 inches, something like that, when we put them together. Again, I don't know if I'm going to put some fabric in there or just have a whole grove of trees like I did my heart row. But yeah, I'm very pleased the way that's turned out. All right, have a lovely day.